If you're dealing with stubborn back pain, one of the most important questions to ask is the pain coming from my muscles or is it coming from a disc? Because how you answer this question changes everything about how you treat it and how fast you can expect to heal. I'm Dr. Chris Cameron, and in this video I'm going to walk you through how to tell the difference between muscular back pain and disc-related issues, the most common signs people miss, and why the wrong diagnosis can lead to the wrong care, and what we do differently to help people finally get the answers they deserve. Let's jump in. Back pain isn't just back pain. It can come from muscles, joints, discs, nerves, and each of those has a different treatment path. If you treat a disc pain like a muscle strain, you might feel a little relief, but you won't solve the problem. And if you treat a muscle tightness with an aggressive disc-focused approach, you could have a flare-up. That's why we identify the true source of the pain in the first step of real healing. Let's start with muscular pain. Typically, muscle pain symptoms show up as things like it feels tight, stiff, or achy. It's often local, meaning it stays in one spot, improves with movement or stretching, gets worse with inactivity or stress, responds well to heat, massage, and gentle exercise. It's often caused by overuse, poor posture, or strain. And while uncomfortable, it's rarely dangerous. Disc or nerve-related pain, however, looks and feels very different. It often presents as shooting, burning, radiating pain down the leg, sciatica. It's worse when sitting, bending, or coughing. Comes with numbness, tingling, or weakness in many cases. Doesn't respond well to stretching or massage. Feels deeper and more intense. This kind of pain means there's likely pressure on a nerve, usually from a bulging or herniated disc. And when that's the case, the focus has to shift to relieving the pressure, calming the inflammation, and rebuilding support around the spine. Now, you might be thinking, can't I just get an MRI to find out? The answer would be maybe, but not always. MRIs focus on showing structure, not function. Plenty of people have disc bulges and no pain, while others have clean scans, no bulges, and are in agony. On top of that, it is not easy or quick by any means to get an MRI in Canada. That's why at our clinic, we combine imaging with real-world functional testing, movement screens, neurological exams, orthopedic testing, and more. Pain is a personal thing, and the diagnosis should be as well. What happens if you treat the wrong problem? Let me tell you, it's more common than you might think. If you treat disc pain like a tight muscle, you might feel better for a few days, but the pain, it'll come back, sometimes worse than when it started. I've had patients come in after months of foam rolling, stretching, massage, to only find out the real issue was a disc pressing on a nerve. The longer the real problem goes unaddressed, the more inflammation builds, and in some cases, it makes things worse. That's why it is so important to go through a thorough testing procedure. You can't just ask where it hurts. You need to figure out why it hurts. When we assess someone in our clinic, we look at three key things: how the spine is moving, flexion, extension, rotation, and weight-bearing positions. 2, how the nerves are functioning. We check reflexes, sensation, strength, and coordination. 3, how the muscles are firing, especially the stabilizers that support the spine. Sometimes the answer is obvious. Other times we find is a mix of muscle and disc involvement. In those cases, we build a plan that addresses both and in the right order. Let me give you some examples. We had a patient, let's call him John. We thought he just had stubborn muscle knot in his glute. He'd been stretching every day, doing yoga, foam rolling, but the pain kept shooting down his leg. Once he came into our office and we ran a few neurological tests, we found weakness in his left ankle and decreased reflexes, classic signs of sciatic nerve irritation or a disc issue. Within 6 to 8 weeks of targeted decompression, laser therapy, and changes in his movement patterns, the shooting pain was gone. And more importantly, it didn't come back. The power of treating the actual cause. Now, let me answer a few questions I get all the time. Can it be both muscle and a disc problem? Absolutely. In fact, it often is. Disc irritation can lead to muscle guarding and tightness. That's why we test both layers. What if I already had an MRI and it looked fine? That's more common than you might think. Imaging shows structure, but not function. We've had patients with normal MRIs and clear signs of nerve irritation based on clinical testing. How long does it take to figure things out? Usually within your first evaluation, our back strong assessment is designed to get to the root cause quickly, without relying solely on imaging or guesswork. At our clinic, we use a system called the Back Strong Framework to figure out what's really going on and what to do about it. It starts with a full body assessment. We test how your spine moves, we check your nerves, how they respond, we assess posture, balance, muscle control, and listen to your story. What brings it on, what helps, and what doesn't. From there, we build a plan that matches the cause. If it's muscular, hands-on care, mobility, rehab. If it's disc or nerve, decompression, laser therapy, anti-inflammatory support, and core stability. We don't guess, we test. So if you've been stuck treating back pain in the same way over and over again and nothing is working, maybe it's not the treatment, maybe it's the diagnosis. If you want answers and a clear path to finally move forward, give us a call, 519-227-1363, and ask for a back strong evaluation. We'll help you figure out if it's a muscle problem, a disc problem, or something else entirely, and what to do next.